Alyssa did not win the HOH despite production trying to make it so. Mysteriously, Alyssa was the only one whose water sprayer was not working right. Mysteriously, every time towards the end when Alyssa was struggling on the wall would go back up. But her little hands could not hang on, and in the end, Derek X is the new HOH. Definitely a shout out to Kevin Nelson, who correctly predicted a Derek X win in yesterday's video, the comments of yesterday's video. So big ups to you, Kevin. Thank you for always watching. So what will a Derek X HOH bring? Unfortunately for his game, he's not going to eliminate someone he needs to eliminate, that being somebody from the cookout, like Xavier, I think would be best for Derek X's game. But the odds of him getting out a cookout member right now looking slim. There's a possibility that he could fall backwards into a cookout member being eliminated, but it's doubtful. Teams are over, but you wouldn't be able to tell with the way people are still playing tonight. They are still talking about teams. Xavier still tried to make a deal to save the King's team during the challenge. And we still got Azza sleeping in the same bedroom as Brittany. Why would you ever do that, Azza? Will she ever learn? So over the past week, I've talked about how the plan of Tiffany's plan was to grow the target on Sarah Beth. But people then, some of her closer allies like Claire and Derek X see Christian as the bigger target for them. Plus tonight you got Kyland really trying to defend Sarah Beth to keep her off the block. I think really being like you should be able to see through him and how badly he's trying to keep Sarah Beth on the block with his conversations tonight with Hannah, a little bit with Derek X. But there's a consensus among Kyland and a little bit even Tiffany, although towards the end of the night, the last thing I saw was Tiffany kind of pushing for Sarah Beth still to be one of the pawns. But Derek X's plan is to have two pawns and then try to backdoor Christian. He's leaning towards the pawns of Brittany, obviously, and Derek F, which would be dramatic. I would Derek F as a pawn would be entertaining at least. And he was the one I was talking about that, maybe Derek X falls back into a cookout member getting eliminated if Derek F has a really dramatic week. Still doubtful. Derek X does not want to put up Azza because he's close to Azza. In fact, during his conversation with Tiffany at the chessboard, he admitted that his first ideal final three is him, Tiffany, and Azza. And then if not that, then maybe him, Tiffany, Hannah, or him, Tiffany, Claire. But the dynamic between Tiffany and Kylan continues to just grow as they both try to hang on to their allies while also pushing their own agenda. We'll see if Kylan pushes well tomorrow to save SB, or if Tiffany can push B, SB, and Brittany on the block together. But Tiffany had a mess of her own. She is a very messy player, to say the least, because tonight in a conversation with Derek X and Hannah, Tiffany slipped out the Royal Flush name in the conversation with Derek X multiple times with Hannah right there, who was not in the Royal Flush. So Tiffany was talking to Derek X about how if this is what he wants to do, if he wants to backdoor Christian, then this is what they do. But if not, they have the Royal Flush to fall back on. Somehow not realizing that Hannah's not in that alliance with her, probably because she has so many alliances, which is why I've called her game messy for so long now. Derek X did not even pick up on this during the conversation, but of course Hannah did, because Hannah is smart as fuck. And Hannah definitely soaks in information. So after Tiffany left the room, she questioned Derek X about who is the royal flush. Derek X admitted it's the queens, kings, and him. He said it was only for the past week, which was a lie. But she definitely grilled him to get information on this alliance, wondering if this is why she was a possible target last week and why she was the pawn. She even questioned Tiffany after Tiffany did not even realize that she had slipped up in that conversation, mentioning the royal flush. So Tiffany told Hannah that it was Xavier and Kylan that started the royal flush, even though it was mostly her, with a bit of Kylan and Claire. But yeah, definitely a fuck up from Tiffany, and why I've always been saying she does too much. But one thing about Tiffany is that she's definitely a cutthroat player, for better or for worse. I think her better quality is that she's has such a great social game, obviously, but also this cutthroat factor because she's been kind of anti getting Christian out for a while now. But tonight she's been okay with it, kind of spearheading it at times. I definitely think it shows how cutthroat she's going to possibly be in this game at some point, even though she works herself into all of these messy entanglements. And another thing is a lot of these players just continue to underestimate Hannah. And I do think it could possibly cost a lot of these players. She's obviously very aware, very smart, soaks in information. I think Hannah has the possibility of being a cutthroat player later in this game as well. But yeah, continuing to underestimate Hannah when she can pick up on information like this and has things just admitted to her sometimes, if people get too comfortable with her, definitely a great quality to have in one of these games. Now, with this plan of Derek X's, I mean, it's just really why I miss old school Big Brother. Because if his plan is to target Christian, you might as well just put Christian and Alyssa on the block and say, fuck you, and start a war. Because if not, if somehow Christian or Alyssa win veto and for whatever reason decide not to use it on one of the pawns, well, then likely Brittany's going home, and it's just a really bad waste of an HOH for Derek X. And I do feel like there is a quite high probability of Brittany going home, only for the fact of production who's really been trying to save this showman's. As boring as it is, they have a showman's, and you know they're going to try and save it. So I would not be surprised if somehow Christian is picked for veto and wins veto. The only question is, would Christian go for veto after winning so much? I don't know. If he doesn't think he's an option to go up. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try and once again rig it for Alyssa like they did in the HOH competition. So Derek X losing, well, Derek X on his HOH having Brittany go home is not great. And like we said on the rankings, like I said, that he needs to get rid of our cookout member that isn't Hannah or Azah for his game to go really deep in this game. But he just does not realize this. The cookout has done a great job of controlling this game. And, you know, despite all the complaining from these bitch asses on fucking Facebook who are just so dumb, really just go to Facebook to have really stupid commentary on any subject, but definitely here on Big Brother. All the complaining about the cookout, how this season is not fair for the white players is like, oh my god, if this doesn't tell you how fucking white people and their fucking white privilege goes, when for 22 seasons they've been able to get the fucking POC players out early in the game because they really outnumber them. But oh my god, any actual hard game for white players in this game is unfair. Oh, it's fucking ridiculous. I think it's really going to show why players are actually going to have to play harder now. You can't just be a white jock and fucking steamroll the season because everybody's so dumb and doesn't want to target you because there's big white alliances. But anyways, I say this because even with all of this stupid ass complaining from these dumbasses, the Cookout has had it very hard as an alliance. They've had to earn this spot as an alliance in the game because the 6% alliance has never, ever in 4 weeks now been able to have a talk with all six of them together. They have not been able to strategize like your usual big white alliances. I don't even think I can remember even four members of the Cookout having strategy talks for more than a minute or two together. At most, it's been three members of the Cookout being able to strategize together. And it has worked because players like Ozza and Derek F have been so outside of things and have been the jokers and don't seem as close to the others like all the others seem close to. And it helped that they did not put Hannah in the alliance right away. But yes, the Cookout has earned this spot right now in the game. And we will see how they do. There's always some disagreements, always some bickering within the Cookout. Right now, I've seen Tiffany mad at Xavier for saying he wants to protect the Kings. Like, and it's true, if Xavier's really so in this Cookout, why is he always trying to keep the Kings intact when he knows they're such a big target? I mean, I kind of get it because if Christian goes, does Xavier's target grow? Probably. But then we have Derek Frazier and Kylan complaining about Tiffany and sometimes how she can have an attitude with folks. And we have Tiffany trying to undermine Kylan with Derek X, which has been kind of working. I mean, Derek X has definitely talked more strategy tonight with Tiffany and Hannah than Kylan. But we will see what direction Derek X goes. I don't feel like he's going to go in any direction that actually prolongs his game. But I mean, he is basically the seventh member of the Cookout because he is so in good with a lot of members of the Cookout, like Tiffany, Kylan, Ozza. He wants to get in good with Xavier. He's obviously good with Hannah. The only one is Derek F that he's not really close to. The one thing I did want to talk about though, like he has noticed how close Xavier is to both Tiffany and Hannah. And instead of seeing that as a bad thing, he kind of sees it as a good thing to pull in Xavier when I actually think the opposite should be where his mind in the game is, that maybe Xavier is actually a threat in this game. Because I do think Xavier going would be best for Derek X's game this week, but that ain't happening. So as it stands, he wants to put up two pawns. It's going to be some combination of either the Jokers and Sarah Beth as the two pawns. Brittany for sure. So it's going to be either Brittany with Derek F, Brittany with Sarah Beth, or Brittany with Ozza. And he wants to try to attempt to backdoor Christian, but will production try to save its showmance?